The Declaration, the grand hall of the Galactic Council, stretched for miles, its crystal dome revealing the swirling nebulas beyond. Representatives from 1,000 worlds had gathered for what they believed would be a routine session. The Vec Empire, rulers of the Outer Rim, had called this meeting with unusual urgency. Commander Vex stood at the central platform, his forearms spread wide. The translator hummed as he spoke. The Vec Empire hereby declares total war on the species known as humanity. A ripple of confusion passed through the assembly. Many representatives had never even heard of humans. They were a young species, barely spacefaring for 200 years. They controlled only 12 systems on the galaxy's edge. "This is madness," said Elder Tom from the core worlds. His tentacles writhed with disbelief. Humans are a minor species. They have no military fleet worth mentioning. Why waste resources on them? Vex's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Because they are weak, because they are isolated, because crushing them will demonstrate the Vec Empire's power to all who might oppose us. The human ambassador, a middle-aged man named John, stood slowly from his seat in the far corner. He was one of only 3 humans in the entire hall. His voice was calm when he spoke. "Commander Vex, Earth requests clarification. What have we done to provoke this declaration?" "You exist," Vex replied simply. "Your colonies sit on valuable resources. Your technology is primitive. You have no allies here. You are, as your own language says, sitting ducks." John nodded thoughtfully. "I see. And you believe this will be easy?" The hall erupted in laughter. The Vec Empire commanded 10,000 warships. Their soldiers numbered in the billions. They had conquered 40 species in the last millennium alone. "Easy?" Vex roared. "Your entire fleet consists of cargo ships with welded-on weapons. Your population is barely 8 billion across all worlds. You have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no faster-than-light communication. This will not be a war. It will be an extermination." John pulled out a small communication device. "May I send a message to Earth? They should know what's coming." More laughter filled the hall. Vex waved a dismissive arm. "Send your message. Tell them they have 1 standard month before our fleet arrives. Tell them to prepare however they wish. It will make no difference." John typed quickly on his device, then looked up. Message sent. "Earth says they need only 1 question answered." "What question could possibly matter now?" Vex sneered. "They want to know if you're absolutely certain about this. They're offering you this one chance to reconsider." The entire council chamber shook with laughter now. Representatives from ancient civilizations wiped tears from various optical organs. The Vec were offering humanity a month to prepare against the greatest military force in the known galaxy. Vex's voice boomed over the noise. "Tell your Earth that the Vec Empire has never reconsidered. In 1 month, your species will be a footnote in history." John shrugged and typed another message. A moment later, his device beeped. He read it and smiled slightly. "Earth acknowledges your declaration. They say they'll see you in 1 month. That's it?" Elder Tom asked. "No plea for mercy? No request for council intervention?" "No," John said, sitting back down. "They just said to make sure everyone remembers who started this." As the council session ended and representatives filed out, many shook their heads at humanity's strange calm. The humans should have been begging, negotiating, fleeing. Instead, their ambassador had simply sat down and pulled out what appeared to be a sandwich from his briefcase, eating it while reviewing documents. Above them all, the stars continued their eternal dance, indifferent to the fate about to unfold. One small blue world, third from an unremarkable star, had just received news of its coming doom. But Earth didn't panic. Earth didn't flee. Earth started building. Asterisk the Council's shock. 3 weeks had passed since the declaration. The Galactic Council reconvened for a standard trade meeting, but everyone's attention was on the empty human seats. Ambassador John and his team had left immediately after the war declaration, saying only that they had preparations to make. Commander Vex entered the hall with unusual energy in his step. "My fleet admirals report interesting news," he announced without preamble. "The humans have been detected moving their cargo ships, all 200 of them. They appear to be running away." Laughter rippled through the assembly again, though some representatives seemed uncomfortable. "Running where?" asked Elder Tom. "Toward the void sector," Vex replied. "That empty space between galactic arms. Nothing there but darkness and dead rocks. They're trying to hide." Representative Cora from the Trading Federation raised a crystalline hand. "Our sensors detected something odd yesterday. Massive energy readings from Earth's system. Almost like ... double quotes. Like what?" Vex demanded. "Like they detonated their own sun. But that's impossible. The star is still there." Vex waved dismissively. "Probably some industrial accident. They're panicking, making mistakes. My fleet arrives in 7 days. But then Representative Dahl from the Science Collective stood up, his blue skin pulsing with concern. "We've been monitoring human communications. They're not encrypted. They're broadcasting everything openly." "And?" Vex asked impatiently. "They're not evacuating. They're calling all humans back to their 12 systems. Every ship, every colonist, every explorer. They single quotes gathering." The hall grew quiet. "That's suicide," someone whispered. "Grouping together just makes them easier targets." Dahl continued. "There's more. They're broadcasting something else. Music. The same song, over and over from every human world. They call it their ancient war song. The title translates to, 'We will rock you.'" Vex laughed, but it sounded forced. "Primitive noise." "My fleet." An alarm suddenly echoed through the hall. The massive view screen activated, showing a feed from the Vec Empire's border sensors. "What are those?" Elder Tom gasped. Where once had been empty space, now sat 300 human vessels. But these weren't the cargo ships everyone knew. They were different, ugly, angular. They looked like someone had taken asteroids and welded engines to them. "Those aren't ships," Representative Cora said slowly. "Those are weapons, flying weapons." Each vessel was essentially a massive gun with engines attached. No living quarters visible. No cargo bays. Just engines, basic navigation, and what appeared to be primitive projectile weapons scaled up to impossible sizes. "Impossible," Vex snarled. "How did they build these in 3 weeks?" Dahl's fingers flew over his console. "They didn't. They ... They hollowed out asteroids. They put engines on space rocks. They turned debris into warships. But there's no life support." Someone shouted. "How are they crewing them?" The answer came when the human fleet broadcast a simple message. "Drone. Fleet Alpha ready. Commencing field test." The council watched in stunned silence as one human drone ship fired its main gun. The projectile was simple metal, no energy signature, no plasma charge. Just a solid piece of iron the size of a building, accelerated to 20% light speed. It punched through a dead moon in the test zone like tissue paper. "They turned physics into a weapon," Elder Tom said quietly. Representative Dahl's console beeped urgently. "I'm detecting more energy signatures. Not from known human space. From ... everywhere. The void sector, the dead zone, the forgotten reaches. Hundreds of signatures." On the screen, more human vessels appeared. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Where did they get the resources? Vex demanded, His voice cracking. The human broadcast system activated again. This time, it wasn't a message. It was video footage of human colonies over the past 200 years. Mining operations on dead worlds. Refineries in asteroid belts. Stockpiles of processed metals and systems everyone had ignored because they held no life. The humans hadn't been expanding, slowly because they were weak. They had been preparing. Ambassador John's voice came through the communication system. He wasn't in the council hall, but his message reached them anyway. Humanity spent 2 centuries in space, learning one thing. The galaxy is dangerous. We hoped for peace. We prepared for war. Commander Vex, your fleet is 4 days away. Earth wants to know, do you still wish to proceed? The council hall had never been more silent. Vex's forearms trembled. The Vec Empire does not retreat. Understood, John's voice replied. See you soon. Humanity's response the day before the Vec fleet's arrival. Every monitoring station in the galaxy turned their sensors toward human space. What they saw defied all military logic. The humans had abandoned their colonies. Every world except Earth stood empty. Cities powered down. Defense platforms cold and dark. It was as if humanity had given up 11 systems without a fight. Commander Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator, surrounded by his admirals. They concentrate everything on their homeworld? They make this too easy? Admiral Czar examined the tactical display. 10,000 ships against their 3,000 drones. Even with their creative designs, we outnumber them 3 to 1. And their drones have no shields, another admiral added. 1 plasma burst will melt them. But something bothered Vex. The humans were too calm. Their communications were still unencrypted, showing civilians on Earth going about their daily lives. Children played in parks. Adults went to work. As if 10,000 warships weren't bearing down on them. Sir, the sensor operator called out. The human drones are moving. On the display, the human fleet began to spread out. Not in any formation the Veek recognized. They scattered seemingly randomly, some heading toward the Vec fleet, others moving perpendicular, some even moving away. They're panicking, Admiral Czar laughed. No formation discipline at all. Then the first human message arrived. It wasn't from Ambassador John. It was from someone called Admiral Smith, broadcasting from Earth itself. Commander Vex, this is Earth Defense Command. You're about to enter the solar system. I'm required by human law to inform you that this system is protected by what we call Project Porcupine. You have 10 minutes to alter course. Vex snarled into the communicator. Earth will burn in 10 hours, not 10 minutes. Sir, Admiral Smith's voice was steady, almost sad. I need you to understand something. Humans have a saying, if you come at the king, you best not miss. You came at us. You announced it to the galaxy. You gave us time to prepare. And Sir ... you're about to miss. The transmission cut off. All ships, Vex commanded. Maximum speed. Crush them. The Vec fleet surged forward, 10,000 strong. As they crossed into the outer solar system, passing the orbit of the dwarf planet Pluto, the first surprise appeared. Pluto exploded. Not the dwarf planet itself, but its surface. Millions of hidden launch tubes revealed themselves, firing a cloud of objects into space. Not missiles, not energy weapons. Simple metal spheres, each no bigger than a marble, launched at incredible velocity. What are? Admiral Czar began. The cloud of spheres hit the Vec fleet's front line. Shields, designed to stop energy weapons, barely slowed the kinetic projectiles. The tiny spheres punched through hull armor like paper, their speed turning them into unstoppable bullets. 50 Vec ships died in the first salvo. Evasive action. Vex screamed, but then Neptune's moons lit up. More launch tubes, more metal spheres. Millions of them, creating a deadly cloud of kinetic death. The Vex fleet's energy weapons fired wildly, trying to destroy the projectiles. But how do you stop a million marbles moving at relativistic speed? They turned the entire system into a weapon. Someone whispered, Uranus was next. Then Saturn's rings revealed their secret, not just ice and rock, but hidden weapons platforms by the thousands. Each planet, each moon, each large asteroid had been transformed into a gun emplacement. The human drones hadn't been fleeing or scattering. They had been herding the Vex fleet into kill zones. Admiral Smith's voice returned. Commander Vex, you said humans had no faster-than-light communication. You were wrong. We just didn't use it where you could detect it. Every rock in this system is networked. Every grain of sand is mapped. You're not fighting Earth. You're fighting the entire solar system. Jupiter's great red spot suddenly made sense. It wasn't a storm. It was camouflage for the largest weapons platform humanity had ever built. When it fired, the energy discharge was visible from Earth. 1,000 Vex ships vanished in an instant. Retreat. Vex screamed, all ships retreat. But the human drones had moved into position behind them. Those ugly asteroid ships opened fire with their building-sized projectiles, boxing the Vex fleet in, the pride of the Vex Empire. The fleet that had conquered 40 species was being torn apart by rocks and marbles. Asterisk. The first battle, the battle that historians would later call the Marble War, lasted exactly 3 hours and 17 minutes. Commander Vex watched his tactical display in horror as ship after ship winked out of existence. The humans weren't fighting a space battle. They had turned space itself into a weapon. Sir, Admiral Czar shouted, the asteroid belt, it's moving. The main asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter had started to shift. Thousands of asteroids were changing course, their new trajectories calculated with terrifying precision. Each rock had been fitted with simple engines, turning them into massive kinetic missiles. How? Vex demanded. How did they do this without anyone noticing? The answer came from an unexpected source. Ambassador John's voice crackled over the emergency channel. Commander, you assumed our slow expansion meant weakness. But we spent 200 years doing what humans do best, preparing for the worst. Every mining operation was cover for weapon placement. Every survey mission mapped firing solutions. Every cargo run delivered materials for this moment. The Vex flagship shook as a marble-sized projectile punched through its outer hull. We don't have shields because we studied yours, John continued. Shields stop energy. They barely slow kinetic weapons. We don't have plasma weapons because we did the math. Why waste energy converting matter to plasma when we can just throw? The matter itself? Mars revealed its secret next. The red planet's surface cracked open in 1,000 places, revealing massive railguns. They fired in sequence, creating a rhythm that matched the human war song still broadcasting across all frequencies. Boom, boom, clap, boom, boom, CLAP, beat accompanied by capital ship-killing projectiles. Emergency jump, Vex ordered. All surviving. Ships, emergency jump to council space. Sir, we can't. The navigation officer cried. The humans. They're creating gravitational interference. They're using Jupiter's gravity well to destabilize our jump calculations. It was brilliant and brutal. The humans had turned the solar system's natural features into tactical advantages. Admiral Smith's voice returned. Calmer now, Commander. Vex, Earth offers terms. Surrender. Order your remaining ships to power down weapons. You'll be allowed to leave after signing a formal peace treaty. Vex looked at his display. Of 10,000 ships, less than 3,000 remained operational. They were trapped between Earth's defenses and the approaching asteroid weapons. The Vec Empire does not surrender to primitives. Sir, Admiral Smith's voice grew sad. Look at your sensors. Look at Earth. Vex looked. Earth was glowing. Not from lights or fires, but from launch preparations. The entire planet had been turned into one massive weapons platform. Continental rail guns, ocean-based mass drivers, mountain ranges hollowed, out and filled with projectile weapons. We didn't abandon our colonies to concentrate defenses, Smith explained. We abandoned them to bring every human home for this. 8 billion humans, Commander, each one volunteering to defend our world. Our factories haven't stopped in 3 weeks. We've turned every piece of metal on Earth into ammunition. If you don't surrender, we will fire everything. Your fleet will cease to exist. The tactical computer calculated the firepower aimed at the Vec fleet. The number was so large, it switched to scientific notation. This is impossible, Vex whispered. You're bluffing. In response, Earth fired a warning shot. A single projectile from the North American Continental gun. It was the size of a skyscraper, accelerated to 30% light speed, dotted past through the Vec fleet without hitting anything. The displacement of space itself causing nearby ships to spin out of control. It continued past them and hit a dead moon at the system's edge. The moon shattered. That was one gun, Admiral Smith said quietly. We have 12,000. Commander Vex, please, no more death. Surrender. The unexpected victory the Galactic Council emergency session was called into order as Commander Vex's damaged flagship limped into the station. Only 800 Vec ships had survived the retreat from human space. The once proud commander stood before the assembly, his forearms hanging limp in defeat. Report, Elder Tom said quietly. Vex's mandibles clicked in shame. The Vec Empire formally surrenders to humanity and requests council mediation for peace terms. The hall erupted in chaos. The mighty Vec Empire, conqueror of 40 species, had been defeated by humans in a single battle. How? Representative Cora demanded. Before Vex could answer, Ambassador John entered the hall. He looked tired but calm. He carried a simple datapad and took his place at the small human section. Humanity offers the following terms, John said without preamble. 1. The Vec Empire will pay reparations for the unprovoked attack. Not in resources or territory, but in knowledge. You will share your shield technology and faster-than-light communication systems. 2. A formal apology to be broadcast to all council species. 3. A non-aggression pact for 1,000 years. That's all? Elder Tom asked, surprised. No territory? No vassalage? John shook his head. Humans don't want an empire. We want to be left alone to explore and build in peace. But we also want the galaxy to understand something. He stood and addressed the entire council. Humanity spent 2 centuries as the galaxy's newcomers. We watched. We learned. We saw how established powers treated younger species. We hoped for friendship but prepared for hostility. The main view screen activated, showing footage from the battle, the marble clouds, the weaponized planets, the asteroid missiles. Every human child learns our history. How we survived on a hostile world. How we fought extinction dozens of times. How we turned disadvantages into advantages. We didn't develop shields because we learned to dodge. We didn't develop plasma weapons because we learned that simple solutions often work best. Representative Dahl spoke up. Your entire solar system. It's all weapons? No. John smiled slightly. Only about 60%. The rest is redundancy. We call it Project Porcupine. Any predator that tries to bite gets a mouth full of spines. But the resources, Vex said weakly. The coordination. How did 8 billion beings work together like that? John's expression grew serious. Because that's what humans do when threatened. We stop fighting each other and fight together. Every scientist became a weapons designer. Every factory became an ammunition plant. Every citizen became a soldier. Not because we love war, but because we love survival. He pulled up new images. On the screen, human ships, still ugly and utilitarian, were already dismantling some of the weapon platforms. We're already converting back to peaceful purposes. The railguns will become cargo launchers. The asteroid missiles will return to being mining sites. But they can be reactivated in 72 hours if needed. The council sat in stunned silence. Elder. Tom finally spoke. The humans defeated the Vec Empire in 3 hours. No, John corrected. We defeated them in 200 years. The battle only took 3 hours. He turned to Commander Vex. Your mistake wasn't underestimating our technology. It was assuming weakness meant inability. Humans survived on Earth by being clever, stubborn, and prepared. We brought those traits to the stars. A new message appeared on John's datapad. He read it and smiled. Earth accepts your surrender, Commander Vex. Our factories are already producing medical supplies. For your wounded. Our engineers will help repair your ships for the journey home. That's the other thing about humans. We're vindictive in war, but generous in peace. Representative Cora raised a crystalline hand. What will humanity do now? John gathered his things. Same thing we always planned. Explore, build, learn, make friends if possible, and prepare for the next threat. Because now the galaxy knows humans are not easy prey. As he walked toward the exit, he paused and turned back. Oh, and Earth wanted me to deliver one more message. To anyone else thinking of declaring war on humanity, don't. We have more tricks. Worse tricks. Things we built but hope to never use. The solar system defenses were our gentle response. You don't want to see what happens when humans get truly angry. He left the hall in complete silence. Later, when the council reviewed the full battle recordings, they discovered something that chilled them further. The humans had only used conventional kinetic weapons. Their nuclear arsenal, antimatter research, and something called Project Ragnarok had remained unused. The humans had defeated the Vec Empire with rocks and careful planning. The galaxy never looked at the small blue world the same way again. And in human space, children still played in parks. Adults still went to work. And life continued as normal. But now everyone knew humanity had teeth, and they weren't afraid to use them. The end. Asterisk.